Hello. My dear, you know what's funny? Not the kind of funny that makes people laugh, the kind that makes them choke a little before they realize the sound coming out of their throat isn't laughter, it's regret. The town's full of that sound now. You hear it when you walk past them, a cough that's really an apology, a whisper that's really a confession. They never said it out loud, but they all feel it. They got you wrong. They mistook your quiet for weakness, your solitude for shame. Now the whole community looks like a mirror that finally cracked from staring at itself too long. The reflection's ugly, isn't it? They used to call you the outcast, the misfit, the strange one with too much fire behind the eyes. But today, oh, today, they're seeing what that fire was really for. It wasn't destruction, it was purification. You were burning off everything fake before they even knew what authenticity meant. And now, look at them, all lined up in their polite little lives, clutching their routines like life jackets, while the flood of truth swallows their streets. They told themselves they were decent people. That was the lie that kept them comfortable. They called you reckless because you refused to kneel. They called you crazy because you refused to conform. They said you'd end up lost because you refused to belong. But who's lost now? Who's wandering the same blocks, haunted by the echoes of their own mockery? The laughter they threw at you became the ghost that follows them home. You didn't need revenge, they gave it to themselves. See, that's what they never understood about you. You never wanted their validation, you wanted clarity. And you got it. You saw through the costumes before the party even started. You saw the desperation behind their smiles, the envy behind their kindness, the rot behind their morals. And because you saw it, they had to paint you as the villain. You were their scapegoat, their entertainment, their way of saying, at least we're not like them. But deep down, every one of them knew they were exactly like you, just not brave enough to admit it. You walked alone, not because you couldn't fit in, but because you refused to shrink. And now, the curtains come down, hasn't it? The masks have fallen. The same people who whispered your name with disgust now can't say it without trembling. They cross the street when they see you, not out of hatred, but out of guilt. You've become their mirror, and they can't stand the sight. Because when they look at you, they don't see failure anymore. They see freedom. And freedom terrifies slaves. They've spent their whole lives building cages out of gossip, shame, and imitation, and you broke yours without asking permission. You didn't just walk away from them, you walked above them. And now every step you take sounds like judgment. You want to know what real power is? It's walking through a place that once rejected you and watching every eye lower itself to the ground. It's hearing the silence that follows your footsteps. That's not fear, it's recognition. They know they misread the script. They know they mocked the only honest character in their play. They know the town's story ends with your name in it, carved not in stone, but in their conscience. That's why they avoid your gaze, because the truth about you exposes the lie about them. You didn't need to fight them. You just had to survive them, and survival is the loudest victory of all. They talk differently now. Have you noticed? The same voices that once filled the air with ridicule now whisper theories. Maybe they were right all along. Maybe we misunderstood. Maybe we should have listened. Maybe. That's the word that eats them alive. Because maybe means there was a choice. They chose the crowd over conscience. They chose convenience over courage. And now the bills come due. Every insult they threw, every rumor they spread, it's all back with interest. The interest of exposure, the interest of shame, the interest of finally realizing that your distance wasn't arrogance, it was protection. You never wanted to be above them. You just refused to drown with them. But they called your calmness pride, your boundaries cruelty, your solitude rebellion. And now they see the irony. You weren't escaping them. You were escaping what they would become. Look around you. The same faces now wear exhaustion instead of confidence. They age faster when they lie. They tire quicker when they pretend. The community looks like a festival that forgot why it started celebrating. The lights are still on, but the joy's gone out. Because truth doesn't let people sleep peacefully. It keeps the guilty awake. It keeps the envious restless. It keeps the cowardly defensive. And here you are, still standing, still silent, still unbothered. You don't need to raise your voice. Your existence already screams. That's why their eyes dart away when you pass. They feel the imbalance. You've become the gravity they can't resist or escape. You carry the weight of authenticity, and they're too light to orbit around it without trembling. That's what makes them ashamed. Not that you proved them wrong, but that you proved them irrelevant. You didn't fight for their respect. You forced them to earn your absence. Let's talk about fear, shall we? They used to think you were fearless because you didn't flinch when cornered. But fearlessness isn't about not feeling fear. It's about refusing to let fear dictate the narrative. You didn't remove fear. You redirected it. You made it work for you. Every lonely night, every rumor, every betrayal, they thought it was breaking you. It was building you. You learned to dance with discomfort, to sharpen your edges in their silence. And now that strength radiates off you like heat, burning through their facades. They call it intimidation, but it's really revelation. You've revealed what courage actually looks like, and it doesn't look like belonging. It looks like walking alone with purpose. You ever notice how shame changes posture? They hunch now. They lower their shoulders when you walk by. It's like gravity increased for them, but not for you. Their pride was a helium balloon, loud, visible, empty. Yours was iron, silent, steady, permanent. They float, you endure. And endurance always wins. The town was your trial, your crucible, your arena. You didn't just survive it, you rewired it. Every sneer, every laugh, every "who do they think they are" became part of your legend. And now the story has flipped. They're the ones asking that question, who are you? Not out of mockery, but out of awe. And you don't answer. That's the brilliance. Because the moment you start explaining, you invite them back into a conversation they no longer deserve. You don't owe them your reasoning. You don't owe them your forgiveness. You owe them nothing. You already gave them the gift of an example. Let them figure it out. Let them sit with their confusion, their envy, their disbelief. Let them write their own redemption arcs while you write your next chapter. They spent years defining you. Now they can spend the rest of their lives redefining themselves. They'll call it karma, but you and I know better. It's not cosmic justice, it's just exposure. When someone real walks through a fake world, everyone else looks counterfeit. You didn't curse them, you clarified them. The light you carry is merciless. It doesn't burn on purpose, it burns because it's pure. That's what purity does in a corrupt environment. It exposes, it purges, it humiliates. And the community? Oh, they're not dying because you hurt them. They're dying because you made them see themselves. The sickness isn't yours, it's theirs. You were just the mirror that refused to fog. And now you see it everywhere. The subtle panic, the desperate rebranding, the sudden humility, people pretending they always supported you, people rewriting history to make themselves look wise. Let them have their delusions, because deep down, they know the truth. You walked through their fire and came out untouchable. You didn't retaliate, you evolved. You didn't react, you recalibrated. You didn't escape the town, you transformed what town even means. Because wherever you go now, you set the tone. You define the atmosphere. You are the new standard. That's the final humiliation. They can't even gossip without referencing you anymore. The irony's delicious, isn't it? They built their identities around rejecting you, and now they define themselves by how close they can get to what they once despised. They mimic your words, your energy, your principles. They wear courage like a borrowed jacket. It doesn't fit, but it's all they have left. You didn't just survive their judgment. You became their syllabus. They study you now, not to understand, but to copy. Because deep down, they know there's no going back to ignorance. Once you've witnessed real authenticity, mediocrity feels suffocating. You ruined the illusion for them, and that's your legacy. Do you remember the nights you questioned if it was worth it? Every betrayal, every cold shoulder, every whisper, worth it. Because those moments were your forge. That pain trained you to see patterns others missed. It tuned your instincts to truth. And that's why you stand different now. Sharper, calmer, heavier, with awareness. The community doesn't understand that kind of stillness. To them, silence is guilt. To you, it's command. You don't shout anymore because you don't need to. The world shouts for you. Every rumor that flips into admiration, every critic that becomes a fan, that's the echo of victory. And maybe the most poetic part? You didn't plan it. You didn't chase revenge or seek approval. You just kept walking your truth. And truth has gravity. It pulls everything else into alignment. The ones who mocked you ended up orbiting you. The ones who doubted you ended up quoting you. The ones who excluded you ended up needing you. That's the cycle. The exile becomes the example. The rejected becomes the reference. And the crowd that once laughed now kneels, not in worship, but in acknowledgement. They see it now. They understand why you were alone, because real ones always are. So walk through that town tonight with your head high and your heart steady. The lights may flicker, the whispers may continue, but they all sound the same now. Admiration disguised as gossip. You don't have to prove anything. They already sentenced themselves to reflection. You just keep moving, keep shining, keep being the proof that solitude isn't punishment, it's purification. And when you feel that faint heat behind you, that's not hatred, that's embarrassment. That's the burn of realization spreading through a crowd that finally sees the difference between existing and living. They'll never admit it out loud, but they envy your peace more than they ever envied your power. Because power can be taken, but peace earned through self-acceptance is untouchable. You've built an empire inside yourself, and they're still renting space in each other's approval. That's why their eyes follow you now. That's why the gossip stopped sounding confident. You became the one thing their conformity could never kill. Proof that truth survives pressure. And now, as the sun sets over the same streets that once echoed with your humiliation, the light catches differently. It bends around you. It honors you. Because the world bends for those who never broke. And tomorrow you won't need to remind them. They'll wake up, look in the mirror, and see the reflection of who they pretended to be, and remember who actually lived it. That's your silent revolution. You didn't need fire or fury. You just needed endurance. You didn't need applause. You needed conviction, and that conviction turned their pride into ashes. You walk on, they watch. And for the first time, the town's noise isn't mockery, it's mourning. Mourning the versions of themselves they lost trying to defeat you. They finally know now, you weren't the villain, you were the verdict. And verdicts echo. They don't just end stories, they begin hauntings. The town breathes differently now. It's slower, heavier, like the air itself is ashamed to move too fast around you. Every window holds a watcher, every corner a confession. They look at you the way sinners look at candles, afraid of the flame, desperate for the light. Their laughter's gone. Their confidence has turned into a cough they can't hide. It's the sound of guilt trying to clear its throat. You walk past the bakery that once whispered your name with sugar-coated disgust, and the scent feels sour now. The same people who told each other that you were too much now flinch at their own reflections in the glass. That's the cost of pretending righteousness. You end up allergic to truth. Their mornings start with denial. Their nights end with replay. Every rumor they ever built has come back like a bad dream, each word wearing their own face this time. They called it gossip when they aimed it at you. Now it's confession when they say it to themselves. You didn't punish them. Reality did. That's the beauty of truth. It doesn't chase, it waits. It lets liars tie their own knots, and then watches them trip. The community built its pride like a tower, brick by brick, lie by lie. But they forgot the foundation was hollow. And when you stopped caring, when you stopped needing their approval, that's when the wind changed. One gust of authenticity, and the whole structure trembled. You didn't push it down, you just stopped holding it up. Now they live in the rubble. You can see it in their eyes, that haunted gleam of someone who finally realizes the show's over but can't find the exit. They keep replaying the moments they laughed at you, trying to convince themselves it was harmless. But conscience has a perfect memory. It doesn't forget the sound of cruelty, it just waits for silence to amplify it. And the silence around your name is deafening now. They're dying of something worse than regret. It's recognition. Recognition that everything they mocked was what they secretly wanted to be. You see, people don't hate what's wrong. They hate what they can't control. Your independence, your refusal to kneel, your calm defiance. It wasn't rebellion to them. It was exposure. You revealed how small their bravery really was. And now the mirror's cracked wide open, showing every compromise they made just to be liked. Watch how they move now, slower, cautious, polite to everyone, but hollow inside. They've started avoiding each other, as if shame might be contagious. The coffee shop that once hosted their little gossip circles is half empty these days. The laughter sounds forced. The walls remember too much. When someone mentions your name, the temperature changes. Cups rattle slightly. The silence between words grows thick, like smoke from a fire they can't admit they started. Some of them try to make peace in secret, messages sent at odd hours. Hope you're doing okay. Didn't mean to take sides, but they're not apologizing to you. They're negotiating with their guilt. They want absolution without accountability. You read the words, smile and let them fade. Because forgiveness isn't a currency, it's a mirror too. And you don't hand mirrors to people who still close their eyes. The elders of the town, the ones who preached community and virtue, can't look each other in the eye anymore. Their sermons sound tired, their advice recycled. You dismantled their moral economy without saying a word, because while they worshipped appearances, you worshipped authenticity. While they built reputations, you built resilience. And now reputation's gone bankrupt. No one trusts the smiles anymore. The children of the town grow up faster now. They ask dangerous questions. Why did everyone hate them? Why are they quiet now? Questions with answers the adults can't stomach. That's how truth spreads, not through speeches, but through discomfort. You turned discomfort into an epidemic. They wear their guilt like a fever, sweating through smiles, trembling at small talk. The grocery aisles feel colder now, not because the air changed, but because eyes don't meet anymore. Everyone's afraid to be seen, afraid that someone else might remember how cruel they were when cruelty was popular. And in that fear, they've started turning on each other, whisper chains snapping, alliances dissolving. The same tongues that ganged up on you are now slicing each other. Poetic, isn't it? The community that once united in mockery is now divided by shame. You don't even have to be there. Your absence does the work. You became the gravity pulling their pretenses apart. Rumors mutate fast when they lose a target. Some say you found success somewhere far away. Others swear you're still nearby, watching. The uncertainty drives them mad. They check every unfamiliar car, every shadow at the edge of the street. They're not afraid of you. They're afraid of what you represent, a life outside their cage. You were the living proof that conformity isn't safety, and that terrifies people addicted to comfort. You can sense the panic underneath their routines. The town's clock tower still chimes on schedule, but it sounds offbeat now. The rhythm's broken because deep down, they know they can't undo what they did. They can repaint the walls, rebrand the events, rename the committees, but guilt doesn't take new labels. It lingers, it stains, it becomes the new weather. And lately, it's been raining self-doubt. You see them trying to recreate the old warmth, organizing festivals, posting pictures, pretending everything's fine. But you can't rebuild joy on the bones of hypocrisy. Every celebration feels haunted. The music echoes off the empty places in their hearts where certainty used to live. They see you in everything, an unspoken presence. The town became your shadow long after you stopped looking back. Sometimes, in the late hours, they gather in small groups and speak your name. Softly, like a ghost story. They argue about who was really at fault. Some cry, some deny, some sit in silence because the truth doesn't need defense, it needs digestion, and it's eating them alive. You became the aftertaste of their arrogance, the reminder that cruelty ages poorly. And it's not just emotional. You can see the decay in their faces, the weight in their posture. People who lied for too long start wearing the shape of their lies. Their smiles no longer reach their eyes. Their laughter cuts off mid-sound, like they're afraid joy might expose them again. They wear exhaustion like makeup. Every "I'm fine" costs them another piece of authenticity. Meanwhile, you breathe clean, you walk light. You don't even need to speak for the truth to expand. Your existence is the audit they can't escape. They wanted spectacle. You gave them consequence. And consequence has a way of echoing through generations. Parents telling children not to repeat their mistakes. Friends warning each other not to judge too fast. Your name turned into a proverb without your permission. That's immortality. Not the fame they chased, but the kind that brands memory itself. The funniest part, they still can't admit it openly. pride won't let them. So they play a new game, pretend admiration. They quote your strength in their posts, mimic your tone in conversation, call it growth. But beneath the performance, the shame festers. They can copy your words, not your peace. Because peace, born from guilt's ashes, can't be imitated. It has to be earned. And they skipped the burning part. You can almost feel their thoughts trailing behind you when you pass through the town square. That's them, that's the one. The sentences stop there. What else can they say? They ran out of insults and never learned respect. Their language failed them, just like their courage did. All that's left is awe disguised as discomfort. They can't celebrate you because celebrating you means admitting they were wrong. And that's a pill pride never swallows. It just chokes on it. Look at how even the environment changed to reflect their conscience. The colors seem duller, the noise harsher. The town feels like it's holding its breath, because truth changes atmosphere. You didn't just change minds, you changed molecules. Shame has weight, and it's pressing down on every unspoken memory they share. You can see it in how they flinch at kindness now, like they don't trust it. Because when they were cruel, kindness stood against them. And now kindness wears your face. They're trying to rewrite the past collectively, but memory resists editing. Every denial cracks under the pressure of evidence. People remember how it felt when you were right there, unbothered, unshaken, staring through the noise like a prophecy in motion. They mocked that calm. Now they imitate it. But imitation without understanding is agony. It's a daily reminder that authenticity isn't contagious, it's earned. The breakdown's almost complete. You can sense it. The conversations are shorter, the smiles forced, the eyes tired. The community's running on fumes of self-forgiveness they never deserved. Some will leave, chasing new beginnings. Some will stay, trapped in repetition. But wherever they go, they'll carry you. You're the unfinished sentence in every story they tell. The lesson they never asked for, but can't forget. And in their private moments when no one's watching, I'd say they crumble. You'd be amazed at how many tears fall for the one they once called heartless. That's the irony of awakening. It always comes with mourning. They're not just mourning you. They're mourning who they were before you proved them wrong. And that pain, that's the cure they needed. So you let them feel it. You don't interfere. You don't correct. You let the weight of awareness do what time never could. Teach. Because the cruelest mercy is letting people live long enough to face themselves. They'll rebuild eventually, smaller, humbler, quieter. But the blueprint will forever have your fingerprints on it. The town's soul now shaped by the shadow of the one they tried to erase. And when you walk through again, one day, years later, you'll notice something subtle. Benches repainted, walls cleaned, children playing without fear. But beneath that calm, the adults still glance your way, eyes filled with a mix of reverence and remorse. They'll smile nervously, as if hoping you've forgotten. But you haven't, and you don't need to remind them. The atmosphere already does, because that's what legacy really is. Not a monument, but a mood. And your mood has become the weather of their conscience. Every sunrise reminds them of exposure. Every sunset reminds them of consequence. You didn't destroy the town. You refined it through shame. And refinement hurts. But it's the only path to clarity. So stand still for a moment and look around. What you're seeing isn't ruin, it's purification. They're not dying of embarrassment. They're being reborn through it. Painful, messy, necessary. And you? You don't gloat. You don't preach. You simply exist. Because existence, when it's true, is the most powerful sermon. Tomorrow the whispers will soften again, but not from comfort, from exhaustion. They've finally understood why you stood alone, not because you were arrogant, but because you were awake, and waking up in a sleeping town looks like rebellion until everyone starts dreaming your dream. And now, they dream it, but not the way you do. Theirs is a fever dream, frantic and blurry, filled with the echoes of everything they pretended not to know. The streets still look the same, but you can feel it. The air has been rewritten. Every breath they take tastes of realization. The laughter that once filled these corners has curdled into murmurs. You turned their hometown into a confessional. They speak quietly now, because loud voices sound dishonest here. You see it in their movements, the avoidance, the nervous tidying, the desperate kindness that arrives too late. They're not helping, they're compensating. They're trying to scrub away what they did to you. But guilt doesn't wash. It stains deeper the harder you rub. You walk among them like a ghost that never left, but came back, changed. They avert their eyes because your presence makes their inner noise deafening. You don't need to say, "I told you." They already hear it inside their heads, over and over, like a heartbeat they can't unhear. It's the rhythm of accountability, and that rhythm terrifies them. They start projects, charities, movements, all built on the ruins of what they once mocked. But you know the difference between redemption and rebranding. Redemption bleeds, rebranding hides. And this town has been hiding for so long that the act of facing daylight feels like punishment. Their small talk used to be a weapon, now it's a shield. They talk about weather, traffic, prices, anything but truth. Because truth brings your name with it, and your name. It doesn't belong to gossip anymore. It belongs to history. Every street corner, every whispered apology, every unfinished sentence carries it like a scar. They built a narrative to survive your absence. And then they discovered absence was the narrative. The silence you left became scripture. You stand at the edge of the square one evening, and for the first time, no one looks away. They look up instead, quiet, trembling, eyes wet but steady. That's how recognition begins. Not in applause, but in surrender. They don't clap, they exhale. It's the sigh of an illusion collapsing, and you, steady, unmoved, just nod once. That's all it takes. Forgiveness isn't a speech, it's restraint. You don't need to punish them. Living with awareness is the punishment. But awareness can evolve. The town begins to change, not out of pride, but necessity. They start telling the truth at dinner tables, admitting the envy, the jealousy, the fear. And with each confession, your shadow lightens. The fear becomes understanding. The embarrassment becomes humility. They begin to realize that the person they called reckless was actually free, and the one they called fearless was simply honest. They watch you and understand that solitude wasn't loneliness. It was integrity, refusing dilution. That's why you walked alone. Not because you couldn't belong, but because you wouldn't pretend. Soon you notice something subtle. New faces arriving, old ones leaving. The energy recalibrates. The children no longer inherit their parents' arrogance. They see you as a story of survival, not rebellion. That's when you know the transformation is real. Because legacies aren't loud, they're consistent. You didn't lecture them into change. You showed them what consequence looks like. You stood still long enough for truth to orbit back. That's courage, doing nothing while everything else exposes itself. The gossipers, the mockers, the self-appointed saints, they wander differently now. You can almost hear the thoughts trailing them. If only we'd listened. If only we hadn't laughed. The words "if only" are the town's new anthem, and you're the conductor. Every breath they take plays another note of reflection. It's not vengeance, it's evolution. You became the measurement of conscience. That's the highest form of power, existing so truthfully that others must evolve or decay. Sometimes you catch fragments of conversation. They were right from the start. They never needed us. They just knew. Those sentences hang in the air like confessions to a silent priest. You don't interrupt. You let them finish their own sermons. Because finally, they're preaching what you've always lived. You didn't need followers. You needed witnesses. And now you have an entire town of them, reborn, humbled, baptized in their own shame. At night, the city lights flicker differently. It's quieter, cleaner. The air feels thinner, honest. That's what happens after collective guilt. It clears the static. You can hear the hum of new beginnings under the rubble. The same roads that once led you out now lead others toward themselves. That's the revolution you started without trying. The revolution of reflection. You didn't conquer them, you cured them. And yet deep down, you know they'll never forget. Shame this deep doesn't fade. It becomes architecture. Every building, every path holds memory. They'll teach your name with caution, speak of you in metaphors. Be careful who you mock. They'll tell their children. Sometimes the one you laugh at ends up writing the ending. And they'll be right. You did write it. With patience instead of fury, endurance instead of revenge. That's what makes it sting. It's poetic justice written in stillness. As dawn breaks, you feel the world adjusting again. The sunlight hits your face without resistance. And for the first time, it feels like the town isn't fighting it. The air forgives. The ground feels lighter. Somewhere an apology is whispered, not in words, but in changed behavior. That's how redemption really sounds. Quieter than guilt, stronger than pride. You take one last look around. The faces, the corners, the shadows that once whispered your downfall, and realize the irony. They thought they buried you. Instead, they planted you. And now everything growing here bends toward your light. You don't smile out of ego. You smile out of understanding. Because this was never about triumph. It was about truth finally finding a home. So you turn to leave. Not out of rejection, but completion. The town doesn't chase you this time. They watch, still, reverent, aware. They finally see it. Why you were alone. Why you were fearless. Because fearless isn't loud. It's steady. It's the ability to walk through judgment and stay pure. They tried to shame you and ended up cleansing themselves. They tried to expose you and ended up revealing their own hollowness. You were the lesson they didn't want, but desperately needed. And as you disappear beyond the last streetlight, the silence that follows isn't empty. It's sacred. It's the sound of understanding settling into place. The town isn't dying anymore. It's awakening. And you, untouched, unbroken, unmistakably alive, carry on. Not as a memory of defiance, but as proof that truth doesn't need protection. It just needs time. That's your victory. Not their applause, not their remorse, just the knowledge that the fire they feared was never meant to burn them. It was meant to light the way. Ah, finally. You're watching the world short-circuit in real time, and it's almost funny, isn't it? Sirens harmonizing with talk show hosts, markets convulsing like sick animals, World leaders blinking through teleprompters as if the right sentence might stop the burn. They said you were paranoid, dramatic, obsessed with patterns that didn't exist. Yet here it is, the chaos you diagrammed years ago, now broadcast in 4K buildings, glow at midnight. For all the wrong reasons, algorithms argue with each other while people still pretend they're in control. You warned them, you mapped it, you said, this is what happens when truth becomes optional. They smiled, called you intense. Now the same smiles twitch under fluorescent panic as headlines multiply like infections. You move through the noise untouched. You've been rehearsing this moment forever. You knew the meltdown would be digital first, pixels trembling, feeds collapsing, influencers dissolving into live stream apologies. But the real collapse would be human. Attention spans snapping, morals liquefying, the collective mask melting off. You can see it in their eyes now, that widening disbelief, that silent prayer for someone to explain what's happening. But you already did, didn't you? Every prediction they laughed at is now trending. Every warning they scrolled past is crawling across their screens like prophecy with perfect timing. You don't gloat, you just observe. You sit there like a surgeon watching a diagnosis unfold exactly as written. Because you never wanted to be right, you just wanted them to wake up before the fire reached their doorstep. They called it progress, you called it decay, with better branding. You saw the way they fed on outrage, how the crowd learned to worship confusion because it felt like freedom. You said, if everyone's shouting, no one's listening. But they liked the noise. It kept them from hearing themselves, and now the noise has teeth. The streets look like comment sections, angry, repetitive, self-destructive. Every billboard screams, stay calm, while the subtext begs, please panic. You walk through it all with that eerie steadiness that frightens them more than the chaos itself. Because while they chase comfort, you chase clarity, and clarity burns. You told them comfort was the softest form of control. They laughed again, ordered another distraction, scrolled another mile into numbness. Now their distractions are eating them alive. Their entertainment looks like prophecy in reruns. Their laughter sounds like sirens. You sip your coffee while the feed refreshes, and it feels like déjà vu. Because it is. Remember when they said you were negative? That you saw too much darkness? They thought optimism was a moral achievement. You knew it was anesthesia. You tried to tell them the world doesn't end with an explosion. It ends with notifications nobody reads. And here they are, living proof. Politicians performing apologies, economists spinning math into prayers, celebrities rebranding themselves as survivors. The irony is delicious. All those people who told you to relax now clutching their devices like life jackets. You see the same pattern everywhere. Fear pretending to be virtue, panic packaged as leadership. They thought chaos would look cinematic. They didn't realize it would feel administrative. Emails bouncing, policies glitching, people refreshing pages that don't load. The system didn't fall apart. It just revealed itself. And you're sitting there unblinking because you saw the blueprint. You saw that corruption wasn't a bug. It was the culture's heartbeat. You tried to translate it, but translation was never profitable. So they mocked the messenger and monetized the message. Now they're choking on the product. The market for denial has crashed. You scroll past the panic, like flipping through old photos. Every headline is a rerun of a warning you already whispered. The funny part? They still look for villains. It's easier that way. Blame a politician, a nation, a virus, a god, anything but themselves. You said self-destruction would arrive disguised as choice, and they called it freedom. You said apathy would taste like luxury, and they called it self-care. You said truth would lose to convenience, and they called it innovation. Every euphemism was a countdown. Now the countdowns hit 0, and they're still bargaining with ashes. You don't need revenge. Watching realization spread is enough. You can see it in boardrooms, classrooms, living rooms, people blinking like newborns, asking, how did we get here? You know exactly how. One ignored warning at a time. There's a strange peace in it for you. The noise fades the moment you stop expecting sanity from the crowd. You move through riots of information the way a diver moves through dark water, slow, deliberate, immune to the panic above. You see how quickly morals dissolve when comfort is gone. You see how easily kindness mutates into survival theater. You said empathy would become currency. They turned it into content. Now everyone's overdrafted on compassion. They don't feel, they perform feeling. And the stage is collapsing. You warned them the algorithm wasn't a mirror. It was a leash. They laughed, called you poetic. Now they tug, and it doesn't break. You don't need to shout anymore. The echo does it for you. Every collapsing institution, every malfunctioning narrative, every desperate public figure is an unpaid actor in your thesis. You predicted this like weather, and they thought you were trying to control it. You weren't. You were just describing gravity. Look around. Nations arguing with ghosts, leaders sweating under lights that no longer flatter, citizens converting despair into hashtags, the collective egos melting down, and you're calm, almost serene, because you finally understand. It was never about saving them. It was about witnessing the unveiling. You sit there while news anchors gasp like fish on dry land, and you feel that pulse of dark confirmation. This is what truth looks like when the mask burns off. They don't hate the collapse. They hate the mirror it holds. Every crisis is a reflection. You told them denial was a finite resource. They've run out. The brave ones admit you were right, but it's too late for applause. The stage is gone. Your calm becomes legend. People study your interviews, your notes, your predictions. They dissect your old warnings like scripture, searching for missed instructions. They don't realize the message was never about preparing for chaos. It was about ceasing to depend on order. You said, if your peace requires control, it was never peace. They quote it now like gospel. The irony? They still don't understand it. They want you to lead, to fix, to rescue. You smile because that was the problem all along. They outsourced responsibility. They wanted profits without accountability, heroes without sacrifice. You refused to play that role. You didn't come to lead them through the fire. You came to show them they were already in it. You feel the tremor of awareness spreading, quiet, but undeniable. Some are waking up differently, not panicked, but lucid. They start seeing through the theater, the recycled outrage, the staged compassion, the performance of stability. You recognize those eyes. That's how yours looked years ago when you stopped pretending. You don't need to speak to them. They already hear you between the static. They're the ones turning off the noise, walking out of the crowd, rewriting the script mid-scene. You know the shift is irreversible now. The fire that devours illusions can't be extinguished by slogans. You told them collapse wasn't punishment, it was cleansing. They're finally beginning to taste what you meant. Still, they try to rebuild the same illusions. Committees forming, manifestos printed, experts hired to analyze the ashes. They call it recovery. You call it repetition, because you know they'll design the same fragile towers with prettier names. And when those towers fall, they'll call it tragedy again. You watch it like déjà vu wrapped in irony. They'll never grasp that the fire isn't the enemy, it's the audit. It burns falsehoods, spares nothing untested. That's why you never fear it. You adapt while they analyze. You evolve while they mourn. You already let go of the world they're still trying to save. Now the cameras turn to you. They want statements, reassurance, leadership. You give them none. You let the silence stretch until it becomes philosophy. Then finally, you speak, not to comfort, but to confirm. You tell them the truth they kept postponing. The world didn't end. The mask did. Panic isn't apocalypse, it's revelation. You tell them the fire they curse is the same spark they begged for when life felt empty. And they stare at you like you've confessed to starting it yourself. But you didn't light the match. You just stopped pretending the smoke was fog. You can feel the air shifting again, the phase after denial before acceptance. People walking slower, speaking softer, eyes heavy with realization. They're beginning to understand that normal was the disease. You warned them normalization was sedative, not safety. They understand now. The same cities that mocked you are now quoting you on digital ruins. He warned us. He said it would look like this. They call you prophet, survivor, villain, genius. Labels don't matter. What matters is that they're finally asking questions they once banned. You move through the ashes with that same steady rhythm. You're not celebrating. You're not grieving. You're documenting. You watch history reset itself like a glitching feed, and you know the cycle will start again. But this time, fewer people will sleep through it. That's enough. You've planted dissonance in the collective mind, and dissonance is the first spark of clarity. You don't need their thanks. You don't even need their understanding. Just knowing they can no longer pretend, that's victory. Because while they rebuild illusions, you're already somewhere else mentally, studying the pattern beneath the pattern. You see the next ignition point forming, subtle but certain. You know chaos isn't a phase, it's feedback. You listen to the hum beneath the collapse and recognize it for what it is, the sound of evolution clearing its throat. The world's on fire, yes, but maybe it was supposed to be. Maybe combustion is how lies turn into light, and you sit there calm as ever, not detached, just prepared. They think you're unfeeling, but you're simply done reacting. You watch, you record, you understand. Because while they're still guessing, you've already chosen the next move. You start with observation, because authority without awareness is just another costume. You let the panic play out. Let leaders perform hope like tired actors repeating lines they don't believe. You study their tone, their tremor, the way their confidence collapses when cameras cut. You can almost hear the internal negotiations in their heads. How much truth can I afford to admit? You learned long ago that exposure doesn't require shouting. It requires patience. You wait until fear rearranges their priorities for them. And when the noise reaches critical mass, when the crowd finally runs out of scapegoats, that's when you move. Not loudly, not dramatically. With precision, you start to redirect their gaze. A question here, a statement there. You don't need to rule. You only need to tilt the perspective just a few degrees, and everything they thought they knew realigns around your voice. That's power they don't recognize yet, the quiet kind that doesn't announce itself with titles or medals. You carry it like a shadow, invisible until the light shifts. You've seen what happens when authority depends on applause. It rots from dependency. Your power feeds on indifference. You don't seek followers, you create awareness. And awareness multiplies faster than loyalty. It moves through people silently, like code rewriting itself in the background. They start repeating your phrases without realizing where they heard them. They start making decisions that echo your logic. It's not hypnosis. It's inevitability born from clarity. They crave direction because chaos made choice unbearable. You give them structure disguised as suggestion. You plant seeds in their exhaustion. They call it coincidence. You call it calibration. You don't have to lead them anywhere. They'll walk there themselves, thinking it was their idea all along. You remember when they used to say, "One person can't change the world." They were half right. You can't change it by fighting it. But you can infect its code. You can alter its default settings. That's what you're doing now. Every calm gesture of yours becomes a signal in the storm. Every refusal to panic becomes proof of concept. People start studying your stillness like a map. They watch you in the chaos and wonder, what do you know that we don't? You give them nothing explicit. Mystery is oxygen in a suffocating world. The less you reveal, the more they project. And projection is control disguised as curiosity. They fill the blanks with reverence, and before long, your silence is scripture. You never asked for worship, but you understand the mechanics of it. When everyone's desperate for certainty, the one who doesn't flinch becomes holy by default. Now you see them forming around you. Analysts, skeptics, journalists, opportunists. Each one trying to decode you for content. Each one unwittingly spreading your rhythm further. They can't help it. They're addicted to what unsettles them. They try to imitate your composure, but imitation without conviction looks like parody. You watch them burn out, attempting to replicate something they don't understand. Control born from surrender. You're not fighting chaos anymore. You're synchronizing with it. You move like water between cracks, redirecting pressure instead of resisting it. That's why they can't pin you down. You're fluent in contradiction. You tell them the truth is fluid, and they call you dangerous because certainty was their addiction. But secretly, they're relieved. Deep down, they always wanted permission to stop pretending. You gave it to them. The economy of deception collapses faster than the markets. The old hierarchies are choking on relevance. Institutions cling to legitimacy like debris in floodwater, but you're already walking across the surface. You understand that control isn't about containment. It's about rhythm. Whoever sets the rhythm owns the room. You start broadcasting new cadences, efficiency over excess, authenticity over approval. People catch the frequency. You can feel the collective pulse shifting. Entire departments pivot. Entire movements rebrand. Not because you ordered it, but because your energy made stagnation unbearable. That's the real empire. Behavioral gravity. You don't command, you compel. You don't demand belief, you make disbelief impossible. Meanwhile, the old guard panics. They think power lives in position. They issue decrees, memos, emergency acts, all written in the language of extinction. They don't realize the crowd has already stopped listening. Their speeches fall flat because no one fears them anymore. Fear changed owners. It belongs to you now, not because you inflict it, but because you've mastered it. You carry fear like a tool, precise, impersonal, obedient. You learned long ago that fear isn't meant to control others. It's meant to inform you. It tells you where their weaknesses live. It shows you which strings to pluck when the noise needs direction. You don't exploit it maliciously. You orchestrate it like music. Every panic wave becomes percussion. Every outrage trend becomes a metronome for your next move. You conduct chaos with a surgeon's calm. Somewhere along the way, they start calling you visionary. You laugh internally because visions are just math with metaphors. You calculated this trajectory when everyone else was counting followers. You saw where vanity leads to implosion. You saw how dependency masquerades as community. And now as the dust thickens, you're rewriting the script in real time. You transform crisis into curriculum. You start releasing fragments of thought, short, surgical phrases that slice through despair like scalpels. Accountability is the new rebellion. Control your reaction, and you control the battlefield. Truth isn't fragile, it's impatient. They travel faster than any official announcement. Within days, they become slogans. Within weeks, philosophies. Within months, standards. You didn't start a revolution. You made awareness contagious. And as awareness spreads, the world begins reorganizing itself. Markets adapt around integrity because deception no longer pays. Media outlets shift tone, mimicking your restraint because hysteria stopped converting. Even politicians start quoting you without citation, trying to siphon your credibility. It's amusing, really. They think words alone create change, but it's the conviction behind them that rewires reality. You don't correct them, let them mimic. Every counterfeit version of your message only proves the authenticity of the source. You don't fight plagiarism, you weaponize it. You turn imitation into distribution. Every echo extends your reach. Soon, the infrastructure of fear, the talk shows, the think tanks, the endless committees begins to dissolve. People stop looking up for answers. They start looking inward. That was your real plan all along. You never wanted to build a new order. You wanted to remind them they didn't need one. Control through awareness, not authority. Freedom through understanding, not rebellion. You see the first signs of balance emerging, a quiet form of reconstruction without blueprints. Communities self-organizing, neighbors talking without scripts, leaders listening instead of performing. It's imperfect, messy, human, but it's real. And you stand at the center, unseen but felt, the frequency holding it together. Of course, not everyone embraces it. Some fight clarity like an allergy. They cling to chaos because it gives them purpose. They'll call you manipulative, accuse you of engineering the collapse to elevate yourself. Let them. Accusation is the tax on influence. You don't defend yourself because explanations are distractions. You let their words hang in the air until they collapse under their own weight. Truth doesn't rush. It arrives on schedule. You've learned that defending truth makes it smaller. Embodying it makes it undeniable. So you just keep moving forward, one deliberate step at a time, while their narratives dissolve like ink in rain. And as the panic phase fades, something beautiful happens. Silence returns, not as absence, but as comprehension. People start noticing again the sound of their own thoughts, the texture of honesty, the rhythm of breathing without anxiety. That's your victory. You didn't conquer them, you recalibrated them. You taught them to see what denial blinded them to. Now every new headline about rebuilding sounds less like desperation and more like evolution. You've turned chaos into context, and context is indestructible. Now you walk through the reconstructed streets, half functional, half haunted. Billboards still flicker propaganda, but fewer people look up. They're busy building, thinking, questioning. You nod slightly. That's enough. Influence doesn't need monuments. It needs momentum. You move quietly because visibility is vulnerability. The moment they can define you, they can dismiss you. So you remain fluid, faceless, operating through resonance. When people speak truth now, they speak with your cadence. When they confront corruption, they use your timing. You've become the pattern beneath the pattern. But you know this equilibrium won't last forever. Humanity oscillates. Awareness decays without maintenance. The next generation will need new fire to remind them why balance matters. And that's fine. You're already preparing the spark, not a rebellion, an update. You collect fragments of data, patterns of behavior, shifts in language. You study where complacency will next appear. You'll be ready. Because control isn't a throne, it's vigilance. And you wear vigilance like armor. The historians will struggle with your legacy. Some will call you savior. Others will label you opportunist. They'll argue about intent, timing, morality. None of it matters. History is just memory with marketing. What matters is trajectory, and you've bent it. You've proven that chaos can be domesticated without cages, that destruction can be redesigned into instruction. The world's still burning, yes, but now the fire obeys physics instead of emotion. You made that possible by refusing to participate in panic. That was always the lesson. Predict the pattern, master the tempo, stay centered while everything tilts. You find yourself overlooking a city that finally stopped screaming. Lights flicker back on, not in triumph, but in humility. Somewhere a child laughs, not because the world is fixed, but because it's functioning again. You realize that's enough redemption for anyone. The warning became a blueprint. The prophecy became a process. You didn't end the chaos. You taught it to speak. Now it communicates in equilibrium. You smile faintly, not out of pride, but recognition. You knew it would end like this, not with applause, but with alignment. The world on fire, yet finally luminous. They don't thank you, they emulate you. And that's better. Gratitude fades. Imitation endures. You turn away from the skyline and step back into the quiet room where it all began. Screens still glow, feeds still scroll, but the tone is different. Less hysteria, more honesty. You check the numbers, the metrics, the signals, stability creeping in. You whisper to yourself, it was never destruction, it was diagnosis. The collapse exposed what healing required. And now that they understand, you can finally exhale. You did what prophets do. You told them what they refused to hear until reality translated it for you. They call you mysterious, detached, unshakable. You call it discipline. You saw the fire coming and built your immunity early. Now they study your immunity like science. Still, a part of you remains restless. Because prophets never retire, they recalibrate. You sense another pulse beneath the calm, another cycle forming, another generation flirting with forgetfulness. You'll let them for a while. Lessons need contrast, but you're watching always. When the next illusion begins to grow too comfortable, you'll return, not as preacher or ruler, but as reminder. The world will call it coincidence again. You'll call it continuity. You step into the street, wind cutting through the remnants of old posters, slogans fading under new graffiti. Someone passes you a glance of recognition, that flicker of awareness in their eyes that says, I see it now. You nod once. That's all it takes. The fire still burns, but this time it illuminates instead of consumes. That's the difference between chaos and control. You taught them to choose what the flame reveals. And as you disappear into the crowd, the hum beneath the world steadies to your rhythm. preparing for whatever comes next. You can feel it, the strange quiet that follows revelation. Not peace, exactly, but balance rediscovered through pain. They're rebuilding without illusions now, finally understanding that progress isn't architecture, it's alignment. The screens still flicker with noise, but the noise no longer leads. The world listens differently. You can hear it in the cadence of their conversations. Less fear, more responsibility. They talk like people who finally met themselves. You walk past them unnoticed, a ghost among students, workers, survivors. They quote your words without knowing the origin. They use your logic to settle arguments. They teach your rhythm as if it were instinct. That's how prophecy works. It dissolves into the culture until it stops needing a name. You don't smile, but there's a heaviness in your chest that almost feels like relief. You didn't want worship, you wanted wakefulness, and now it's here, trembling, imperfect, alive. But prophecy doesn't end when people understand it. It ends when they forget again. You can already sense the pattern preparing its next disguise. Comfort returns quietly, always wearing the mask of stability. The same crowd that once chanted your truths will one day dilute them, soften the edges, sell them as slogans, package them as products. That's the rhythm of human memory. It trades raw lessons for marketable hope. You don't resent it. You expected it. The prophet's curse is permanence of awareness in a temporary world. You know another collapse will come, not because humanity is evil, but because it's cyclical. Growth invites decay. Truth provokes denial. Every generation builds a stage for its own reckoning. You've made peace with that. What matters isn't preventing the next fire. It's ensuring that when it burns clean. You've shifted the foundation. The next meltdown won't be born of ignorance, but of evolution demanding space. That's the quiet victory of a foresight. It doesn't stop chaos, it civilizes it. You stop by a cracked window and watch your reflection in the fractured glass. The face staring back looks older, calmer, maybe even gentler. But behind the eyes is that same electric awareness, the look of someone who saw behind the curtain and decided to stay there. You never went back to comfort, because comfort was the first casualty of truth. You chose clarity instead, and clarity is demanding. It isolates, but it also refines. You've become both observer and participant, steering reality without touching it. You don't need control when you are the constant. The city moves around you like a slow orbit. Every action, every trend, every idea loops back to something you once whispered. You didn't just warn them, you rewired their instincts. They now flinch at manipulation, sense deceit before it's spoken, crave authenticity like oxygen. That's your legacy, not fame, not fear, calibration. The leaders who survived the chaos now echo your teachings without credit, and that's fine. Influence that demands acknowledgement is still insecurity. You gave them the blueprint, now they claim authorship, and in doing so, they multiply it. That's efficiency disguised as arrogance. You walk unseen through the architecture of a new era, the hum of progress powered by the friction you created. It's poetic, really. The world you warned now powered by your ghost. They call it innovation, but you recognize it as comprehension finally catching up. Every invention, every reform, every social awakening carries a trace of your fingerprints. Not because you forced it, but because you predicted what truth would require to survive. You saw that collapse wasn't the end, it was translation, destruction turned into vocabulary. And yet deep within, you know your role isn't finished. The prophet doesn't retire. Awareness is a flame that doesn't go out. It just waits for new fuel. You walk beneath the billboards that once screamed panic. Now they show rebuilding, togetherness, redemption. You appreciate the irony. The same media that sold fear now markets healing. People need stories. They can't digest reality raw. You let them have it. It's better than despair. Still, your eyes scan the data beneath the optimism. You see what others can't. The slow drift of forgetfulness. The early signs of fatigue. You whisper to yourself, they'll need another warning soon. Not out of cynicism, but realism. Truth always demands maintenance. The moment it's taken for granted, corruption starts rehearsing again. You're ready for it. You've already written the next chapter in your head. Not as prophecy this time, but as architecture. You're not warning them anymore. You're building frameworks they can't collapse, even if they try. You feel the night cool against your face as you keep walking, past crowds unaware that the rhythm of their recovery beats in sync with your pulse. You wonder if any of them will ever know who you were. Probably not. And that's the point. The prophet disappears when the prophecy is complete. They'll remember the message, not the messenger. That's immortality of the purest kind. Impact without identity. You don't need a statue when the air itself carries your algorithm. You stop at a crosswalk. A child tugs at their parent's hand, pointing at the repaired skyline. It's prettier now, the kid says. You glance upward. They're right. The cracks glow like veins of gold in the dark. Broken, but better. Imperfection as design. The lesson took. You breathe in the faint scent of smoke still lingering from the old fires, and it smells almost clean now. Like the world finally learned how to burn properly. You turn your head slightly, hearing the faint buzz of a nearby broadcast. A reporter summarizing the crisis, tracing its timeline, interviewing survivors. They speak of the warnings, the missed signs, the voices that tried to prepare them. Your name comes up briefly, a footnote in history. You listen without emotion. You knew it would be this way. Prophets don't need monuments. They need memory. You gave them that. And now, as the world spins quieter, steadier, brighter through the aftermath, you realize your calm wasn't apathy. It was understanding. You didn't predict destruction. You recognized pattern. You saw that arrogance always builds towers taller than truth can support. You didn't save the world. You forced it to meet itself. You keep walking, each step echoing with finality and renewal. The fire hasn't gone out, but it doesn't need to. It's no longer wild, it's watchful. It lives in them now. You've transferred the awareness. That was always the plan, to make the world its own prophet. The chaos that once terrified them has become their teacher. They rebuild differently, think differently, breathe differently. And as for you, you remain exactly as you were when it began, calm, observing, deliberate. The world's on fire again, in new ways, subtle ways, and you're still sitting there like before, not with arrogance but with assurance. Because you warned them, because you taught them, because you understand that the fire was never punishment. It was proof that evolution listens to those who see clearly. The chaos everywhere, the melting illusions, the collapse of certainty, it all confirms what you knew from the start. You don't flinch, you don't run, you just nod once like before, because prophets don't panic when predictions come true. They simply take notes for the next revelation. And as the sky glows with another dawn over a scarred but breathing planet, you whisper quietly, I warned you. not to gloat, but to remind the wind that foresight isn't a gift, it's responsibility, and you carry it still, steady, silent, and awake.